Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 180 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Here's what's coming up in today's show. In our Noteworthy segment, do you find the cost of vegan grocery shopping is out of control? We're going to take a look at what vegan groceries cost in different parts of the United States.
And in our main topic, we're discussing factory farming, avian flu, and the next global pandemic. Are we heading towards another zoological disaster?
But before we get into all that, what have we been up to?
Well, first, can I just say episode 180?
Yeah, we're getting up there.
Yeah, like 180. That's, I don't know.
It's significant.
I mean, I know last week was 179 and, you know, I should have been expecting this, but yeah. I don't know. 180 just hits a little different. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those round numbers, they just hit a little different.
Yeah, we're heading towards 200.
We sure are. Which is crazy. I have
on the outline that this is going to drop on tax day. Happy tax day, everybody.
Yeah.
But I have ugh. Why can't we be conscientious objectors when it comes to where our tax dollars go?
Oh, what a lovely idea that is.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just so terrible. Talk about taxation without representation.
Totally.
So much of our money goes to things that we don't agree with, on an ethical level. Mm-hmm. And so much of the things that we do agree with and push for and fight for on a daily basis do not get enough of our tax dollars.
Well, not only do they not get enough of our tax dollars now, but what they are getting is being cut or eliminated.
Yeah.
Or just messed with on a huge scale right now. So, yeah, it's a little scary. It's definitely irritating. And I wish there was a mechanism through which we could decide where our tax dollars go.
Yeah, yeah.
Where each person has the right to say, I want to fund this, and this, but not those things over there. Like, I do not want to subsidize animal agriculture. I do not particularly want to support a massive military. I don't want to support tax breaks for billionaires.
I know. I don't either.
I want to support education and the arts and Social Security.
I wish you could just, point where you want your money to go.
It'd be so cool.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, on a more serious note, I have here $13 mayonnaise.
Well, I mean, doesn't this kind of lead into our grocery question?
It kind of does.
Yes, it does.
We were grocery shopping yesterday, just picking up a couple of things we needed. Nothing, not a major shop or anything.
Nope.
And I'm like, oh, we're almost out of mayo. And we talked about last week when we were going through the winners of the Veggie Awards and the fact that Veganese won for condiments, I believe it was.
Yes.
And how we have switched from Veganese to
the
Hellmann's plant-based. So we go to our local, it's a Tops Market. Mm-hmm. And now, mind you, Tops Market is a little pricey. We're in a small market, so they raise their prices. And since the pandemic, they've been kind of out of control.
They really have.
But this is insanity. I'm like, where's the plant-based? Oh, I find the plant-based Hellmann's. $13 they wanted for it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I did not buy it.
No, of course not.
Like, I'm not supporting that. I'm not showing you that I'm willing to pay $13 for a jar of mayonnaise.
No, absolutely not.
Ridiculous.
Nope. And to be fair, we didn't buy the Veganese either. And the Veganese was $5.50 a jar, of course.
Well, for like a jar that's a quarter of the size of the Hellmann's jar.
Well, certainly a third anyway.
Yeah.
So if you did the Veganese at the size of the Hellmann's, it would be $15.50.
So I think I'm going to start making our own mayonnaise.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know what? For sandwiches, I'm good with mustard.
Yeah, well, I picked up some yellow mustard because we're running low on yellow mustard.
I love mustard. Or hummus.
Mustard, I often put hummus when I make Sam's lunch for her in the morning. I often put hummus instead of mayo.
It's tastier, it's healthier.
Yeah.
It's a win-win right there. So I'm not going to feel the loss of mayo.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I just could not believe that. $13.
No, it's crazy.
What are they thinking?
I don't know.
What else have we been up to? Oh, so Sam had a hankering
I did.
for cheesesteaks of all things.
Of all things,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, all of a sudden, I just wanted something kind of decadent and out of the norm for us. And sometimes that can be like pizza, or sometimes that could be a burger. But for some reason, the idea of a cheesesteak, you know, kind of sort of Philly style with peppers and onions and cheese just sounded so ridiculously good that on Saturday, before we went to the gym, I said, okay, hey, Pooks, let's stop at Tops on the way back, because I think we need to make, you know, this kind of meal. I'm looking for a cheesesteak and some coleslaw and maybe some fries. And so we got all of the accoutrement for that meal.
Well, we had some juicy marbles in the fridge, which we were talking about last episode.
Yep.
And let me tell you, the juicy marbles fillets make one hell of a cheesesteak.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
These were so good.
We got a baguette.
We did.
And cut it in half and then, you know, halved it for like a sub roll kind of thing. So good.
It was just insanely good.
Lots of sauteed peppers and onions, a little bit of chow cheese on top, popped it into, you know, the broiler and got it kind of toasty and melty.
It was just perfect.
It was delish. I took a picture of them, so maybe I'll post it on our social media.
Oh, you should.
So that you can drool over our cheesesteaks.
Because it really was amazing. So if you are also having a hankering for a cheesesteak and you are looking for the right meat replacer, Juicy Marbles has it going on.
Holy cow, it was so good.
It was just ridiculously good. And we are so glad we still have a rather large...
We have a loin roast.
Juicy Marbles loin in the freezer. And so we're kind of like, all right, we're set the next time we have a cheesesteak hankering.
Yeah, we could have cheesesteaks like 8 more times.
Cool. We'll have to keep that in mind.
Anyway, yeah, they were really, really good.
They were ridiculous.
So good. And on that note, on so good food note, hey, we have a recipe this week.
We do. So this has been the weekend of amazing food.
Yeah, first the cheesesteaks and now this. So here is this week's recipe from our Vegan Cookbook Challenge.
This week's recipe comes from Nisha Vora's Big Vegan Flavor. And let me tell you, the title of that book is no lie.
Yes, this is a great book.
It really is. And not only are we talking about one recipe today, we're talking about two.
Two recipes for the price of one.
Yes.
Yes.
So Christine went a little bit nuts and paired Nisha's Bangan Bartha recipe and the recipe for her simple flatbread.
Bangan Bartha. Well, here's what Bangan Bartha is. It's an Indian recipe, of course. Comes from the Punjab area of India. It does. Bangan is eggplant.
Okay.
Is the eggplant portion. And the Bartha is the tomatoey kind of curry-esque thing that you create to mix in with the roasted eggplant.
Cool.
Okay?
Yes.
Anyway, this recipe builds flavors really, really well. Mm-hmm. Lots of looming of spices, and it's just, wow. You know, I'm always amazed with Indian food because it is such simple ingredients.
Yeah.
But the way you build the flavors
is so complex.
The flavors in the recipes come out so complex.
Yes.
So good. So then, like Sam said, I made these simple flatbreads that she calls them simple flatbreads. And she should give them a better name because okay, so they are flatbreads. They're very similar to a naan.
Yes, they have the texture and fluffiness of a naan. Mm-hmm. They're not truly flat, you know, like a roti. But
yeah, no, they do like bubble up. You make this very, I can see why she calls it simple. You make a simple dough with flour and other dry ingredients, and then you make the wet ingredient is vegan yogurt.
Yes.
And she said, get a good vegan yogurt. I used the Wegmans unflavored coconut yogurt, and that worked really great.
Perfect.
And you whisk it, kind of whip it with a little bit of olive oil, and the yogurt gets fluffy.
Nice.
It's interesting, the science there. Anyway, so then you just make a little well in the flour.
Of course.
And you mix it all in with your hands. And it makes this really beautiful silky dough. Mm-hmm. And it's quick, too, because you don't have to let it rise or anything like that.
Right. No yeast.
It's unleavened. Mm-hmm. So you just let it rest for like 15 minutes, split the dough into 6 separate pieces, roll them into little balls, roll those balls out into, like a circle, as much of a circle as you can. And then I did it in a cast iron skillet. Mm-hmm. It turned out really well.
They were perfect.
Yeah, I topped them with some za'atar, which is what she recommends. So good.
Yeah, they were really, really amazing. And an absolutely perfect complement to the bangan barta.
Yeah.
Which was creamy and spicy and warming, and like from the very first bite, it was like being in India.
Wow.
I had a dish very similar to this when I was in India a number of years ago, and I don't know if it was the exact same thing, but it was quite close. And
it was eggplant based?
Yes, definitely eggplant based, and it was one of my favorite things that I ate while I was there, which is saying something.
I've never had this like at a restaurant or anything.
Neither.
So this was
not
a completely new experience for me.
Which is great. And I love the fact that you loved it so much because in general, you tend to be a bit of a naysayer when it comes to eggplant.
I'm coming around, I think, on the eggplant. It's kind of like how I didn't used to like Brussels sprouts. Because in my brain, Brussels sprouts were the boiled Brussels sprouts my mother used to make when I was a kid.
Right.
But, now I know Brussels sprouts are so good when you roast them and, do other things with roast them, shave them, whatever.
Sure.
And I think it's really just preparation as far as the eggplant goes, that I'm finding different preparations that really enhance the flavor of the eggplant in a way that I love. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, in the last 2 eggplant dishes you've made have been spectacular.
Yeah.
So
I've loved them both. So I am definitely coming around on the eggplant.
That's awesome because I love eggplant.
So, we had a recipe. Again, the book is Big Vegan Flavor, and man, she doesn't lie there.
Nope.
By Nisha Vora, and she's the creator of Rainbow Plant Life. Be sure and check out her YouTube channel, Rainbow Plant Life. She does amazing recipes, and she's funny.
Yeah.
And quirky, and she has her parents on to do taste tests.
Which is always a good time.
They're really fun. Her most recent video is about chocolate chip cookies.
And who doesn't love that?
How to make the perfect vegan chocolate chip cookie. And she does a fun taste test with her mom and dad after she makes the chocolate chip cookies. What else? Oh, she also has a really great food blog. Mm-hmm. So check out her food blog. So, get the book. We'll put a link in the show notes if you would like to get yourself a copy of this book. It's very big, very heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 150 recipes. So, yeah. And then it's got a whole section on techniques and all kinds of really great information in there.
Yeah, so I got to say, Pooks, we got back into, the Vegan Cookbook Challenge seriously with a bang.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We're back on the train.
We really are.
Yeah.
But, kudos to you for some really fabulous cooking.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a fun day in the kitchen.
It's great.
That brings us to our Noteworthy segment. And like we said at the top of the show, we're going to be discussing vegan grocery prices in the U.S. And, I think we've all felt the pinch a little bit as far as grocery shopping goes.
Yes. And to be perfectly fair, I would like to say that the pinch in our wallets when it comes to grocery shopping is not a solely vegan issue.
It's not.
Our omnivore friends are struggling with this too.
Yeah.
In very, very real ways. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, everybody's struggling for sure.
So this is coming from the Vegconomist, which is a vegan business magazine. And it tells us vegan grocery prices vary significantly across U.S. states, according to a Walmart study. A recent study by CashNet USA has examined the cost of a typical basket of vegan groceries at Walmart stores across the United States, revealing considerable difference in pricing between states. The study analyzed Walmart prices in the most populous cities of each state, comparing them to the national average. Among the findings, Arkansas emerged as the most affordable state for vegan groceries, with prices approximately 3.8% below the national average. Conversely, Hawaii registered the highest prices, with costs for vegan products 31.8% higher than the national average.
But that's every product in Hawaii because everything has to be shipped in. So
Correct. The study also identified significant price fluctuations from year to year. Arizona saw the largest decrease in prices for vegan groceries, with a drop of 3.4% since 2023. In contrast, Alaska experienced one of the sharpest increases, with prices rising 11.94% over the same period. In terms of affordability, Massachusetts stands out as the most accessible state for vegan shoppers. Go my former home state.
yeah.
Very nice. In the state's largest city, it takes just over an hour of work at the local average wage to purchase a typical basket of vegan groceries.
Wow.
It's not bad at all.
No, that's impressive.
While some regions experienced price reductions, others saw increases across various products. Walmart president and CEO C. Douglas McMillan noted in a February earnings call that prices for some everyday items such as deli snacks and apples have decreased, while others like asparagus and blackberries have become more expensive. Despite the lower prices in Arkansas, the state is not the most affordable when income levels are considered. Residents in Arkansas, where Walmart's headquarters is located, must work an average of 1 hour and 33 minutes to afford the basket of vegan groceries. This is among the highest time spent relative to income in the study, although it is still less than in Mississippi, where residents need to work 1 hour and 43 minutes. The study also examined the impact of Walmart's new private label, Better Goods, launched in 2024, which includes premium vegan products. While prices for these products may vary by state, vegan grocery costs at Walmart are generally consistent across the country, with the exception of Alaska and Hawaii, where premiums are significantly higher. Walmart continues to focus on maintaining its everyday low prices model, though there are concerns that potential future trade tariffs could increase prices for certain products. CFO John David Rainey acknowledged the possibility of price increases in an interview with CNBC, but explained that these would not affect the majority of Walmart's inventory. In addition to the regional price variations, the study noted that there are differences in local wages which directly impact how affordable vegan groceries are in each state. The data gathered from this study provides a clearer picture of the factors influencing vegan grocery prices at Walmart across the U.S.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see the increases in our produce, especially if these tariffs all go into effect.
Sure.
Who knows, right? There's tariffs. There's not tariffs. There's tariffs. There's not tariffs. There's tariffs. But they're not going to affect this product or that product. We're just manipulating the market. So
yes, that's exactly what's going on.
We're definitely going to be seeing an increase in produce, especially. And the funny thing is that the tariffs that who shall not be named, is proposing for China and for other nations is really going to affect southern states in a big way. We currently export, I think something like 58% of the pig meat that we export goes to China.
Yes, so that is true.
So if China decides, we're going to get our pig meat from someplace else, this is going to affect farmers. It's going to affect produce farmers. And these farmers can't just pivot, because they're already contracted in to be growing things like soy and grains and stuff like that go, like we know, to feed all these animals that we're exporting. The meat from the animals that we're exporting. So yeah, we're definitely going to see more increases in our groceries. We'll probably see $20 jars of mayonnaise before this is over.
I really hope not. I really hope not. Okay. And let's remember that this article is based entirely on Walmart.
It is. It's a study. Well, it was a study initiated by Walmart. And the one thing I don't really like about this article is it just keeps saying vegan groceries. What do they mean? Are they talking about prepared foods?
I think they're largely talking about prepared foods.
Yeah.
Because, of course, the vast majority of things that you can buy in a grocery store are, in fact, vegan unless you're buying meat and dairy.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that they're not fully taking into consideration every vegan product in the store.
Yeah.
Because that would be all produce. So all fruits, all vegetables, all herbs, all of those
Grains
things.
and all that stuff.
And beans
Yeah.
and all of that. So I have a feeling that not all of that is being taken into consideration, that they're looking more at processed foods that are labeled as vegan.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want to keep your grocery costs down, a good way to do that is to stay away from some of that processed stuff that definitely will put a pinch on your wallet. Yeah, those meat replacers, those cheese replacers, they're not cheap. Cheese in particular right now.
Ridiculously high.
Yeah, as we were looking for cheese to put on our cheesesteaks yesterday.
I know, I'm like $7 for what?
Yeah, for a package of
12
cheese slices.
of
Yeah,
cheese or something like that.
It's kind of crazy.
It is.
Yeah, fortunately, we don't use cheese very much. And so, that's not a major part of our weekly grocery shopping.
But even though this article and this study is based on Walmart and their pricing, I think that it pretty much gives a good forecast for all grocery stores, right? I mean, most grocery stores know they're probably not going to match Walmart's prices just because Walmart has huge buying power. But you know, if Walmart prices are going up, like say they're going up 47% in your state, chances are your local grocery store is going to go up 49% or 50%.
Okay, well, and to be fair, in no state are the prices going up 49%.
No, that was just a hypothetical.
Yes. Okay, so I just want to be clear that the highest numbers we're seeing, okay, and that's in Alaska and Hawaii.
Right.
In Alaska, the increase is approximately 3.8%, and in Hawaii, it's 6.15.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at 49% increases.
No, that was a complete hypothetical.
I understand, but I don't want anyone to freak out that all of a sudden prices are going to go up by 50%.
Yeah, no. I mean, the increases here, we're seeing like 0.99%.
Right.
1.73% in Oklahoma, 0.50% in Texas. So they are small increments according to this study. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure we'll see that go up.
Sure.
Over the course of the year. So.
Well, and honestly, if you live on most of the eastern seaboard, excepting Florida, the price of vegan groceries is going down slightly.
Yeah.
By about 1.23% across the board. So that's not bad.
Yeah, we'll see how long that holds up.
Yeah,
but I
certainly will.
I thought it was interesting. And like I said, I really wish they'd have broken it down when they just, this general term of vegan groceries. I really wish they would have said vegan groceries consisting of these particular products.
Sure.
Yes,
that would be helpful.
But I am assuming that they're talking mostly about pre-made meals and things like that, right?
Yeah. And store brands can really help bring prices down.
Yeah.
Like, I know we don't shop very much at Walmart, but
No.
we do shop relatively regularly at Wegmans. And when we are buying certain vegan products, like, for example, like maybe chicken nuggets or maybe burger patties or something like that, we tend to go with the Wegmans brand. We also recently found out that we love Wegmans brand ice cream.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
So definitely take a look at your local store brands, because more and more grocery chains are developing private label vegan products that tend to be both cheaper and healthier than the well-known replacers.
Yeah, you have to try them out. Some of them aren't the greatest. I know people have said that Wegmans, like vegan, they do like a vegan shredded cheese, and I've heard that those aren't very good. I've never tried them.
No, we haven't tried those.
I haven't picked them up because I've seen so many people say they're not good. So,
but on the other hand, their vegan don't have a cow burgers.
Those are good.
They're really, really good. And they don't have nearly the saturated fat. They don't have the salt. They don't have all of the things that come with something like a Beyond or an Impossible Burger.
They're definitely a healthier choice.
Much healthier.
Yeah. So that's just a little bit about what's going on with vegan grocery prices around the U.S.
Indeed.
Which takes us to our main topic. This week's main topic, we're talking about factory farming and the next global pandemic. It's not a if it will happen, it's definitely a when.
Oh, without question.
You know?
Yes, it's 100% a when.
Yeah.
So we're starting with an article from The Ecologist that's looking at factory farming and the next global pandemic. Industrial animal agriculture poses a real threat to global health. So why are governments turning a blind eye?
Why indeed?
Most emerging viral pathogens start in animals. Occasionally precipitated by human-led behaviors, these pathogens spill over into human populations, where some will cause pandemics. Recent and ongoing outbreaks such as SARS, Ebola, COVID-19, and now highly pathogenic avian influenza demonstrate that the risks of emerging infectious diseases are escalating with intensity and frequency. We don't need to look too far to understand why. Human progress recently has been driven by the dominant paradigm of limitless economic growth, the use of nature as a resource sink, and a constellation of values and attitudes that position the human experience as an autonomous zone of existence and the sole repository of intrinsic value. This prevailing world order results in the systematic production, use, and consumption of non-human animals. A fictional fantasy exists when it comes to farming. The multi-species, green hills, golden sunshine farm of childhood books and sleek advertising campaigns perpetuate a deeply entrenched cognitive dissonance about food and animals. Behind the myth is one of the most destructive industries in the world. The mass production of animals for food drives the risk of emerging infectious diseases in three ways. The rapidly increasing demand for animal products means that the livestock, or food-producing animal population, is higher than ever and continues to grow. Livestock biomass now far outweighs wild animals and birds. The biomass of all the world's wild mammals is approximately a third of pigs alone, and wild mammals make up just 4% of the total global biomass. There are two consequences to this. Firstly, livestock hosts increasingly outnumber wildlife hosts for pathogens. And secondly, the emergence of hypervirulent pathogens is more likely in monocultures involving the mass rearing of genetically identical animals. A globally adopted system of intensive animal agriculture, or factory farming, has met the growing demand for cheap animal products. Cages, stalls, feedlots, and huge windowless barns house the 98 billion terrestrial animals that live and die on the production line every year. The trade in meat, eggs, milk, and leather is shadowed by its corollary, extreme suffering. Inherently stressed animals have weak immune systems and low disease resistance. Combined with high-risk practices such as long-distance live transportation, there is the potential for the perfect epidemiological bridge from which viruses spill over into the human population. Lastly, the well-documented deforestation and fragmentation of natural habitats to accommodate intensive farming systems mean that food animals now live alongside stressed and displaced populations of demographically disrupted wild animals, presenting more opportunities for zoonotic diseases to emerge. Generally hidden from view, but in sickness and wellness, humans are tightly bound to the lives of factory-farmed animals. The current outbreak of H5N1, already a panzootic, or an animal pandemic, has decimated wild bird populations, successfully established itself in other mammalian species, most notably infecting nearly 1,000 herds of dairy cows in the U.S., and led to mass culls of millions of poultry birds across the world. Industry and government routinely blame wild bird populations for spreading avian flu through their migratory routes, but a growing body of research is increasingly challenging this position. The 20 billion chickens within the intensive system at any given time are now acting as their own sources of disease. When it comes to pandemics and zoonotic disease risk, global attention is fixed on wet markets, wild animal trade, and bushmeat consumption. We hear a lot about the need for surveillance systems, cross-sector collaboration, and the ever-vague community empowerment. Global health discourse is awash with this kind of rhetoric, with pandemics framed as unfortunate but inevitable and ultimately manageable with better surveillance in faraway African countries, and resources for the impoverished communities battling on the front lines. This is not just hyperbole. The long-awaited pandemic agreement is a case in point, with the articles on prevention lacking anything concretely preventative. There, too, we see the same emphasis on surveillance systems, communities, and collaboration, all of which is good stuff. But the first global treaty with a mandate for preventing pandemics is suspiciously sparse on one of the main drivers of emerging disease risk: intensive animal production systems. Meanwhile, H5N1, or highly pathogenic avian influenza, continues to rattle around factory farms in the global north. If policymakers care nothing for the appalling animal welfare abuses at the heart of the globalized poultry industry, they ought to consider the profound risk to global public health. H5N1 is a pathogen with true pandemic potential. And yet the response has been slow and reluctant. It took months for the U.S. Department of Agriculture to introduce mandatory cattle testing before transportation across state lines, and only after mountain pressure from public health experts. But this is nothing new. During the bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease outbreak, British farmers fed their cattle the ground-up offcuts of other animals, including cows' brains and spinal tissue, as a means of maximizing production, growth, and minimizing cost. Feeding grain was more expensive. Economic interests led the regulatory response, and an estimated 1 million infected cows entered the human food chain, causing approximately 233 human deaths before feeding cows to cows was finally banned in 1988. Some experts have suggested that H5N1 may have entered dairy herds in the U.S. through the practice of feeding poultry litter. Banned in the UK and cheaper than soy or grains, poultry litter is the calorie-dense mixture of poultry waste products, feces, feathers, and bedding material used to bulk up dairy herds more quickly. Farmed animals' global market value ranges between 1.61 and 3.3 trillion US dollars annually. Livestock is political and politically protected. In tandem with this, the rise of an increasingly oligopolistic food industry, just 10 conglomerates own half of all food sales in the US and the UK, and just 4 retailers, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, and Morrison's, control an estimated 64% of the UK grocery market, further adds to the tension between profit, market primacy, and human health. Such a drastic concentration of profit and power means less transparency, and a food regulation landscape in which policy is skewed by industry interests and accountability is progressively nebulous. But it doesn't have to be a global race to the bottom. We have the ability to prevent a new pandemic catastrophe. We can bring an end to confinement, cages, and the nightmarish live transport of non-human animals. The case for doing so is no longer ideological. It is the sustainable, nonpartisan, empirically based policy response to one of the most urgent and existential threats to human health.
Such a well-written article. From
so
The
well.
Ecologist.
So may I thank author Esme Wheeler
Thank
for that.
you, Esme. That
Beautiful.
was a brilliantly written article, and really, wow, pounds home how unbelievably naive it seems our governments are reacting in a naive way.
I don't think it's naivety at all.
It's money talks, right?
Well,
They're
no,
like, we're not going to address the problem. We're going to cover it up as much as we can.
No, I think we've actively gotten to a place of willful blindness.
Yeah.
They know that this problem exists.
Yeah.
They know that factory farming is probably going to be the source of the next global pandemic.
Yeah.
And they're actively choosing to do nothing.
They're doing nothing. Not only are they doing nothing, that practice of feeding chicken litter,
poultry litter,
to like dairy cows and beef cows, that still happens in the United States.
Yes.
It's banned in the UK, which means, right, it's banned, but that doesn't mean people aren't doing it, right?
Sure.
Doesn't mean it's not happening. But it's definitely happening here in the States. And the thought of them turning these animals into sometimes cannibalistic, they're sometimes feeding cows to cows, which happened before the mad cow.
Yeah, pre-mad cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it is. Of course it's cannibalistic.
And these animals are not meat eaters, okay?
No, they are not.
Why are they feeding them meat? Oh, because it's cheaper than the grain that they should be feeding them. It is unbelievably disgusting to me that this continues to go on. In the name of money, it's not, they'll try to tell you that this is because they're feeding the world. But they don't have to feed the world this way.
No, that's crap.
There are much better ways to feed the world.
There are. And we have to go back to the idea that when meat production first became a thing, meat was for the wealthy.
Right.
The vast majority of people lived on grains and vegetables.
Grains and fruits and vegetables.
Well, fruits were less
true.
common
because depending on
where you are in the
where
world.
you were.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But most cultures lived on grains and vegetables.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. For some reason, since the Industrial Revolution, the idea has become that, like, in order to be healthy, we need to consume meat, which any vegan knows is pure nonsense of the highest order.
It's malarkey, I tell you.
It is malarkey. It's absolutely malarkey.
Yeah.
But there is this myth surrounding meat consumption. And the only reason for hanging on to this incredibly broken, cruel, sadistic, and by the way, highly subsidized system. You are paying for this.
Right, here we go. Back to the tax.
That's right. If you are a taxpayer, you are paying for this.
Yeah, whether you like it or not.
The only reason is to continue to make those 10 conglomerates that control more than 50% of the world's food supply richer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
So true.
It needs to stop.
It does need to stop. But how are we going to make it stop? You know,
if I had the answer to that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. The millions of animals that have been culled over the avian flu it's heartbreaking. Just millions and millions and millions of animals sent to their death because they let this get out of control.
Yes.
Because of the confined conditions that they allowed this disease to flourish. It's just, I don't even know. I'm speechless.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of more articles.
I would recommend just linking those in the show notes.
Yeah, that we're going to link in the show notes. I do want to mention a couple of things, though. The fox found with bird flu. I just want to mention that a lot of land mammals now are testing positive for avian flu, along with captive farmed animals. It's in our wild bird population, of course. I don't recommend that something I love to do, which is feeding birds, putting out bird feeders and watching the birds. I don't recommend that you do that because it creates a atmosphere where birds are gathering in large numbers, where they would, different species of birds are gathering, where in nature they don't do that. So as much as I love to watch birds and I love to, like, the cats like to look out the window and watch the birds, I haven't been doing that because it creates a bad environment for the wildlife, you know?
It creates the potential for it, certainly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if you have one wild bird with avian flu and a squirrel comes along and they're also eating the seed, or a raccoon comes at night and tries to eat what's on the ground, now we're, you know, furthering the spread.
It's
So,
possible, yeah.
yeah. And they do say that, you know, it's going to be more avian flu is going to be heading north this spring, and with fewer federal health officials working to stop it.
Yes.
You know, it's like, yeah, let's fire all the people that work to control this kind of thing.
Yes. Because
That's brilliant.
Seriously, I don't have a word better than traitorous
Yeah.
for our Secretary of Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
Firing health officials left and right,
Yeah.
denying vaccine efficacy, not seeing animal-borne pathogens as a threat. It's reprehensible.
It is reprehensible, and it's happening. One of the articles talks about the first confirmed cases in a poultry flock in Sheboygan. So it is definitely moving north, right?
Well, but still, I think you're just glad that you got to say Sheboygan.
I do like to say Sheboygan. It is one of the more fun places.
Although we don't want Sheboygan's poultry to have bird flu, but
No, we don't.
no.
In British Columbia, 8.7 million birds were called.
And that's just British Columbia. Can you imagine the whole of Canada?
8.7 million birds. And the farmers are worried about what's next. Yeah, I don't blame them.
Of course they are.
I'll tell you what's next. Get out of the business.
Yeah.
Stop farming animals.
Yeah.
Start farming mushrooms or oats or something else.
Yeah.
Because this is not the way.
It is not. It never has been, and it never will be.
Yeah. Have we said all we want to say about the avian flu and zoological disease and the next pandemic?
Thing is, if we wanted to go on a real rant, we could do that for hours. But
yeah, we know
we
can.
I think for today, we've gotten the point across.
All right, we're going to put a pin in that because I'm sure that with all the cuts in all of our federal agencies, that more is going to be coming up about not only avian flu, but other things.
For sure.
You know, measles.
Yes, measles.
You know, people are calling it the freedom rash. You know, kind of in a tongue-in-cheek, you know.
Yes, I understand, but it's so beyond stupid.
It's pure, like you said, it's pure, what did you say?
I said reprehensible.
No, before you said it's like willing.
Willful blindness.
Willful blindness.
Yeah.
It's like, none of this exists. And the same thing happened during the beginning of the COVID pandemic, right?
Sure.
Because we were under the same regime. We were told it's going to be fine. It's all going to go away.
Of course.
It's all because of China.
Yeah.
It's all because of China, you know, and we're hearing it again. Everything's China's fault for some reason, you know.
Well, you know as well as I do that it's all misdirection.
Yeah, it is. Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
All misdirection.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm sure, like I said, we'll put a pin in this, but we're going to be coming back to things like this in the future because with all of those agencies being downsized or eliminated completely, it could become a giant poop storm.
I'm sorry. I was not expecting poop storm.
Yeah, we have to laugh. We have to laugh in the face of the poop storm.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. I just was not expecting that. I'm sorry. It caught me off guard a little bit.
So let's move on. We are up to, here we are. We are at our assignment restaurant, SOS. This week's restaurant is Rise Above Restaurant and Bakery.
Rise Above Restaurant and Bakery is located at 120 St. Paul Street in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. We have to get up there.
Wanted to throw a little love to our Canadian friends.
We sure do.
Because, you know, things.
Rise Above specializes in comfort food, healthy choices, and fresh baked desserts, which means they're calling my name.
And I don't know this for a fact, but are they named after the punk band? Wasn't there a punk band or a metal band called Rise Above?
Oh, you would know far better than I would.
I think so. Anywho.
Their mission is to demonstrate to their community that it is possible to have a high-quality restaurant experience without the use of animal products. This is important to them because they believe that the elimination of animal products from the human diet will result in a reduction to the pain and suffering experienced by animals and will make our diets more environmentally sustainable. They strive to provide a diverse selection of food choices so that there are many things that would appeal to many people. And they hope that if customers enjoy eating at Rise Above, they will realize that going vegan does not mean sacrificing the variety or quality of the food they eat.
Love that. Love their mission statement.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at their menu. They are Niagara's first vegan restaurant.
Well, the pictures are lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a beautiful website. It's beauty, eh?
They've got Sunday brunch.
You know, why don't we have Sunday brunch?
They've got Sunday brunch. I think we're going to have to do a Sunday brunch.
Should we look at the Sunday brunch menu since it's Sunday today?
I think we should.
Okay.
Hey, Pooks, there's your meal. They've got a full Canadian.
Oh, yeah. Tofu scramble, sausage patties, bacon, breakfast potatoes, and a single pancake with butter and, of course, that maple syrup.
I think I would be looking at the Southwest avocado toast, which is sourdough toast topped with mashed avocado, tofu scramble, bell peppers, onions, and taco-seasoned tempeh, and drizzled with cashew cheddar. That comes served with breakfast potatoes. That sounds about as perfect as a breakfast can get.
Yeah, the first thing on the brunch menu really caught my eye. It's seitan and waffles.
Ooh.
So it's a cornmeal waffle. And their signature seitan wings tossed in maple buffalo sauce and topped with green onion.
Oh, that could be good.
That sounds really good. Sweet and salty.
Mm-hmm. And of course, on the side, I would have to get a croissant. Because croissants.
Croissant.
I do love croissants. And it's such a pleasure when you can find a vegan one.
Croissant.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, it is a pleasure. I love a good croissant.
But let's take a look at their regular menu.
Okay, the regular menu.
Oh my gosh, it's huge.
They have a kids menu, Good Friday takeout menu, grab and go freezer. Oh, they have a brunch pickup. That's cool. So you can get brunch to go if you want.
All right.
All right. So what's going on in the main menu?
Whole bunches of things. Okay. Right in the center of the menu, sandwiches and wraps. The very first thing I'm seeing is the killer crunch wrap.
Oh, yeah.
Because Pookie makes a mean crunch wrap.
I love crunch wraps. They're good. We have to make those again.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
And so this would be refried beans, cheddar, sour cream, lettuce, tomato, taco sauce, and a crispy tostada folded in a flour tortilla.
Crispy seitan wrap, which is crispy seitan dumplings.
Ooh.
It says in parentheses, think popcorn chicken.
Oh, I'm in.
With lemon garlic aioli, onion, lettuce, and tomato in a flour tortilla.
But you know what's calling my name over here on the mains?
What?
Loaded pierogi gnocchi.
What?
Hand-rolled potato chive gnocchi with caramelized onion, sauerkraut, and King's bacon smothered in cashew cheddar sauce and topped with sour cream and green onion.
Wow, that sounds rich.
Yes. Also on this on the mains menu is the falafel bowl.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's hard for me to resist a falafel bowl, to be honest. So we're talking falafel, tomatoes, cucumbers, olives, and roasted garlic hummus on a bed of brown rice and topped with tzatziki and a parsley kale salad.
That sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They have a sesame ginger noodle bowl, which also with bok choy and broccoli, grilled tofu, and rice noodles in a creamy sesame sauce and topped with fresh slaw, sesame seeds, and green onion.
Yeah, I would have a really hard time choosing between those three things. The gnocchi, the falafel, and the noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
So good.
Yeah.
Everything sounds delicious.
They've got a beautiful, beautiful menu. So if you are in the area, if you are in the Niagara/St. Catharines area, get thee to Rise Above.
Yeah, they also have cocktails and specialty beers and stuff like that too, if you're looking to grab a drink with some friends. and get some really fantastic vegan food.
They've also got some fun shirts.
Do they?
They do. They've got some fun shirts on the shop tab of their website. They've got some cool shirts. So.
Yeah. So if you have been recently to Rise Above and you support this week's restaurant, email us a recent photo of your meal and tell us what it is, and you'll be entered to win a gift card in our vegan dinner winner contest. It's time for our favorite portion of the show.
Must be listener shout out time.
It's listener shout out.
Just want to give a shout out to all my fans watching. I love you guys. I love you.
This week's shout out goes to Liz Spitzuoko. Liz was a contestant at our last vegan trivia event, and we want to thank you for playing, Liz, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. And send us your t-shirt size and address so we can send you a Compassion and Cucumbers swag bag. Text us using the link in our show notes, include your name, or email us at compassionandcucumbers@gmail.com, or simply DM us on Instagram or Facebook.
For the rest of you out there, if you want a listener shout out, or if you'd like to nominate someone else, please email, text, or DM us. Let us know what you think of the show and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Please do, because our shout out list is running dangerously low again.
Once again.
I have to put out the call. I might start sending emails. I might take out an ad.
Don't make her take out an ad.
Where in this day and age can you take out an ad? I mean, it might make a Facebook ad. No.
And don't make her spam you with emails.
I'm not going to spam.
You don't want that.
There's not going to be any spamming or ads or any of that. But if you listen and you haven't dropped me an email to say, hey, Christine, I listened to the show. It's fantastic and I love you. Please shout me out. We'll do that.
It's fantastic, I love you required?
No, it's not a requirement.
Okay.
But it's encouraged.
Okay.
Now it's time to wrap this baby up because we're getting punchy.
A little bit.
But before we go, don't forget, please subscribe to the show if you haven't already, and subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't already. Leave us a review or a rating if your podcast app allows that, so we can reach more great people like you. If you want to get news about the show, you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter at our website, which is compassionandcucumbers.com.
And with that, it's time to sign off. You have just listened to episode 180 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, and there's nothing left to say but where cukes and compassion are always the fashion. On the podcast.
Thanks, James.
Have a great week, everyone.
We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
We love you.
We do. Bye-bye.
The end.
If you'd like to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, well, you can do that by hopping on over to our Patreon page and becoming a patron. We have all the recipes from our vegan kitchen series up there, and we'll be adding some patron-only episodes in the near future. So thank you for supporting us at whatever level that you choose, and thank you again for listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast.